So, I was watching Howard the Humongous episode 13, dialogues between Howard Bloom and the Amazing Atheist. I really love those videos. They're really long. I can just put them on and do something else, and it's just really they're just great to watch. I really suggest checking those out. So, this video starts out with them talking about Herman Cain and basically just sexual assault cases in general. They talk about the repressed memory thing that went on in the 90s when people were claiming that they were molested as children, but they don't remember. And it was based on bad science, basically. Like, psychologists today conclude that it was a load of shit, basically. And it was basically just run off of an emotional ploy. And so, that was really interesting. And then they bring up the Herman Cain sexual harassment case, and uh, saying that he says that we have a justice system here that says we're innocent until proven guilty. People forget that, and yeah, obviously I agree with him. That's totally true. We don't really know what went on with the Herman Cain case. I think the way Herman Cain has responded to the case is very suspicious. However, I also think some of the accusations made by the opposing side are rather suspicious. For instance, I watched a video with the lady who is with Gloria Allred, talking about her experience, and Gloria Allred was like leaning into the microphone, almost ready to eclipse her own client, as if the case is actually about her and not her client. And it almost appeared that this client was reading from a script written by Gloria Allred. It was a very stone presentation. It felt really fishy to me. But again, I don't know. It could have been 100% true. I'm just saying the whole thing looks kind of fishy to me. So he talks about that, and obviously I'm 100% in agreement with him until he starts talking about the Bible. And he talks about the story of Joseph being accused of rape by the wife of a chief vizier in the dungeons of Egypt. Um, and, obviously, I assumed that he's just using that as a story. But then he goes, this has been for 2,500 years a way for women to get back at men by accusing them of rape. First of all, you're assuming that the story is true, which I honestly, like everything in the Bible, it's very hard to automatically assume that these stories are true. Also, you're quoting from a book that holds many views on women and the relationships between men and women that I think we both agree are extremely outdated. So, to use that as an example of how gender roles really work. I think it's I don't think it's the right way to go, really. Also, this idea that accusing men of rape is somehow this great social phenomena that has always been going on. It's not that it doesn't happen. I don't see the evidence that it's this widespread thing. And then he lays down this statistic, which I find extremely questionable, where he says, 25% of the time women are put into really bad positions, which they shouldn't be, and 75% of the time it's women, making an accusation of a man who's being put into a bad place. First of all, I'd really like to know where you got that statistic. If you could just give me, a reputable source from where you got that statistic, which with some good research to back it up, um, I have no further questions. You're using scientific evidence to back up your point. However, honestly, I'm just gonna assume that you made it up, because it just really seems to me that you made it up. The nice little 75-25 thing, it just seems like it just came off the top of your head. So, assuming that, I'm going to basically I'm going to ask you what reasoning was behind that assumption that 75% of women who accuse men of rape are making it up. First of all, why do you divide it up into men and women? I mean, you do realize that men also get raped and also bring cases to court. And yes, unfortunately, we live in a society that, usually men ridicule other men for doing such a thing, and it's really despicable. But it does happen. Um, so to divide it up into men and women, I have to ask why you do that. And then, of course, why you make this, in my opinion, baseless statistic that 75% of women who are claiming rape are making it up. And I'm going to follow that up with a further question. If let's say TJ, this is directed to TJ, I guess. If you knew that accusing Shock of God or Venom Fang X or Kent Hovind of raping you would take their channels off YouTube and throw them in jail and ruin their life forever, and you would get away with it, and you knew this, would you do it? I mean, I'm going to assume no. I'd assume that you would not resort to such a disgusting tactic. And while I think you are someone who's not really afraid of putting your sexual life into the public eye, I think that most people would not want their sexual behavior put into the public. So I guess I have to ask you, the final question is this: what makes you assume that 75% of women who accuse men of rape are people who are not only willing to resort to such disgusting tactics to get their way, but are willing to take their sexual behavior, something that most people agree is something that's best kept in private, and put it into the public eye and come up with a detailed descriptive story about them being violated? What makes you think that 75% of women who accuse men of rape would do that? That so many people would do that? And that's just the final question I want to ask you. And because I believe in innocent until proven guilty, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt until you give me a response that, this was Howard Bloom talking at 100 miles per hour with, 1,000 things to say, just saying something off the top of his head that in hindsight does not make sense, but maybe goes into the larger point he was trying to make. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for now. And that's it.